have you watched the Stranger Things?
No.
Yeah. And none of you never seen any of it?
No.
Hey, Tanya, did you know that CrossFit is actually a pyramid scheme?
Wait, a pyramid scheme? What are you talking about?
Yeah. So, we have our pyramids that are so popular right now. And one of those being that we're living in the upside down of one.
Oh, the upside down world?
Yeah,
Are
we're in
we
the
in
upside down
upside
period
down
now.
world?
We have to redo all of our pyramids now to go upside down because now we need to have the top of the pyramid be flat and big and then down to the point.
Has anybody told Egypt? My God.
Yeah, they're all the wrong direction.
Everything's been done wrong for thousands of years.
Yeah.
Hey, folks, I'm Coach Tanya.
And I'm Coach Mertz.
Welcome to the Affiliate Soapbox.
Yeah, so we just had the new release last week of the USDA having their new pyramid that is
Right.
upside down.
It looks more like a slice of pizza.
Pizza, it could be on there.
That crust is actually pretty good.
You're right.
Somewhere, right? I can look,
Graphically, it looks like a slice of pizza.
if you look at their pyramid that they developed, right? So it's top to bottom, fat to small. I don't know. They have so many different foods on there. It's kind of hard to, you got to think about like our old pyramid was bottom to top, right? It had grains at the bottom. It had veggies and fruits, and then protein, and then the top was oils. Now the new one is kind of just a mix of food. You kind of have to figure out what food is where. It's a little disruptive in a way, but to kind of break it down and make it look easier, it really is. The top is protein and vegetables, healthy fats, avocado oil, tallow, things like that. Then butter, fruits, and then at the bottom is grains. Whereas complete opposite.
I find it interesting as just a personal note. They put butter separate from healthy fats because it's argumentative, right? We can talk about the different opinions and different medical opinions and different guidelines we've had on butter, right?
Yeah.
Is butter good for you, bad for you in terms of cholesterol? And is it grass-fed butter? Is it margarine? Don't eat margarine, anybody. Anyway, going back to what you were saying.
Well, again, it's just a picture of a stick of butter,
Really?
and it kind of, it could be margarine, could it be grass-fed butter, could it be, to your point, there's so many different parts of butter, right?
Yeah.
Even if you get the quote unquote Vital Farms butter, but guess what? Got PSAs in there. They actually found out that Vital Farms is feeding their chickens not the normal grubs and seeds that they normally eat, but more of the like grain fed, and they actually inject.
Really?
They actually put paprika and something else in was it marigold into the feed, so that way the yolks look yellow.
I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, so
interesting. This will be another podcast.
So it does, like, even it really is kind of crazy because as you get digging deeper into each different food groups, and there's so many. Again, if you look at the old, I'm sure our producer Coach Kyle will put up the pyramid for us. But if the new one right here, right?
Magically.
And you'll see because food is kind of everywhere. It doesn't really kind of break down the inertia of what, healthy ones versus not healthy ones. But with that being said, I think it's a great element here for us to kind of push our obese, chronic disease population into the right, go the right direction here.
Well, let's talk more about the pyramid itself. So the old pyramid, right? At the very bottom, you had grains, lots of grains. Okay. I think when we look at the old pyramids, let's think a little bit about who created these pyramids. Originally, the recommendations for nutrition and health were created in the 40s, 50s, 60s, right? They were looking at how did it affect our national defense, right? How was our military eating, and how is that potentially affecting their performance, their ability to defend us? So that was the first mindset in developing some sort of nutritional guidelines.
Yeah.
And as they, got further into that, part of it also is affected by availability of food, right? Because there was different things available depending on your social status, depending on our state of war, depending on our delivery systems, right? How fast can we get something somewhere, which are much improved now. But back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, it took a lot longer and a lot more effort to get different foods in a somewhat acceptable manner over
Yeah, yeah,
longer
which
distances.
the monocrop fields here is kind of what kind of drove that direction there, right? As we had these huge plotted out lands that just specifically grow soy and corn, and the ability to be able to feed the masses of people, it was a lot easier way to go and less cost efficient to go, but it put us into this position we are now.
Right. And if you look at the energy in different foods or the potential energy of foods, grains themselves historically began to increase in popularity, if you will, because they are easier to store and keep, good for longer periods of time. They do produce higher amounts of energy in smaller packages. So a little bit that was a natural
Yeah,
human you know, evolution of food and what we used as food. It was harder, especially as hunter gatherer times, to take down big game, to take down,
as we
these
kill off more and more of the population,
right, the
of
protein sources. Then they
yeah.
also, right, as we got more efficient at it, then they started to disappear, right? Crops, the grains are a hardier crop than your vegetables, and you have to have different climate zones. Temperate zones are much better for growing different things, fruits and vegetables, than say your harsher winter climates. So there's been a lot of natural evolution into what food we eat. There's been a lot of human intervention and causing ourselves some of
That's
our
a
own
big one.
issues. And as we grew to bigger population centers, we increased our need for food. We had less people actually producing the food, and so now we had to find ways to create more energy and sustain a bigger population with less people working in the food
Well,
industry itself.
and I think the one thing that's related to all this, that pretty much dictates everything, is the government. The government has put out different subsidies for farmers, and to be able to, hey, if you change your farm from, multi, from raising cattle to growing vegetables and fruits and things like that, to, all right, let's plow it all down, let's just do soy, let's just do corn.
Corn, right, for
And the
ethanol.
government, right, correct, fuels our vehicles, right? So there's so many different elements to how the government has had their hands at play with this. And it's kind of, in some conspiracy theory worlds, there's a lot in there, right?
Well, the politics of food, not
Yeah.
just what the government wants, but what does the government need? A, at the very basic, to sustain the population, but B, to increase government income as well as the income of the large corporations that are or should be paying more taxes into the government. That's a whole nother podcast, folks. But yes, so there's been a lot of direction by government, by big business, into where our food pyramid has gone, or how it has
Yeah.
evolved. So if you look at grains, which was the bottom of the old pyramid, like you said, conspiracy theories. Well, major food processing companies wanting to increase their bottom line would naturally hope that one of their
Products.
products
Yeah.
would be at the bottom of that pyramid, at the base of the pyramid, creating that foundation. So let's look at Kellogg, who helped develop one of
It,
the most recent, I guess, up
well,
until the last one
yeah,
released.
1992.
Right. So from 1992 until literally a couple of days ago, Kellogg had helped develop the old pyramid, at which grains, which is their main seller, right, was at the bottom in the foundation.
Yeah, yeah, and the history of the food pyramid kind of tracks back to 1974, when this Swedish educator, Anna Agsnider, I hope I'm saying her name
Glad you
right,
had to say it and
but
not me.
anyway, what kind of happened there was she had this idea for the food pyramid. Then there's recently, I shared this on recently, was this interview with Dr. Mark Hegsted, who was very, he's he's in a nursing home. Basically, he dies within I want to say not long after this interview was done by a journalist. And he kind of talks about, because he wrote a paper in 1977 on food pertaining to, basically kind of developed into what helped develop into the 1992 food pyramid that we had. They had a food pyramid before that. I don't think it had grains so much at the bottom until, like you said, till like the major food conglomerates kind of got involved and put the grains at the bottom. But he was talking about, Dr. Mark was talking about in this interview, that he would go back, he would change two things. One thing would be that he would say eat fish twice a week,
Right.
uh,
Agree with that.
and then reduce high refined carbohydrates or cereals specifically made with white flour. That was the two things. And the reason why that paper that he went into and it never got to where he was, where he had those few things recommended and never got put in there, was because they're on the strict deadline by the McGovern committee. And the McGovern committee wanted to have this done before the committee broke apart. So they, in their haste, they put out this basic food pyramid that is kind of developed into 1992 when the grains got put at the bottom. So there's a lot to the story of the food pyramid. And I was talking to a physician not long ago, talking about the new food pyramid, and he said that they're actually don't even in the physician world, or what they're being taught, the little nutrition they are taught, they haven't looked at the old food pyramid in quite some time. They just go by the whole plate method, right? Basically. And so it's kind of been, the old pyramid had not really been used a whole lot, but we're, getting back to the new food pyramid. I think it leads itself to exactly what we want, because in CrossFit, we had it nailed down back in
We
2002.
had the pyramid that looked like a pizza the whole time, folks.
Yeah, we had
It's just that's what we're gonna talk about pizza a lot. I might be hungry. But so let's talk about CrossFit's prescription for food. Okay. And it's basically eat meats and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some starch, a little fruit, and no sugar. You'll see that on a lot of CrossFit publications. You'll see that on some gym walls. And that is essentially the same as the new pyramid that
Yeah.
came out.
Correct.
Right.
We had it the whole time.
So I think we need to talk a little bit more about why the big flip. Why do we go from
Ooh.
why do we go from grains and refined carbohydrates to now the first thing at the top of the new recommendations is eat real food, and then under that you've got the protein and vegetables, right? So why the change? What makes the big difference there?
I think that the government knew it all along. They just didn't, you got to think about it. These huge food conglomerates. Say it for me.
Conglomerates?
Thank you.
It's not a big
It's early in the morning, y'all. But they had their hands into everything. So, and including the government lobbyists and stuff. So, I think that the government for the longest time knew this information, but didn't want to step on any toes with their conglomerates.
Constituents.
Well, but let's step back from the who and the why, right? Maybe even the how. Let's talk about why we made the switch. What makes protein and vegetables more appropriate to be at a larger part of this pyramid than grains?
Oh, specifically there, because your body needs that healthy protein, healthy fats that come along with eating meat, the vegetables to get your low glycemic carbohydrates in your body to be able to produce energy, and then you also have those healthy fats that can help fuel you at rest for the most part. So that's the big prescription there, is that we eat meats, vegetables, nuts, and seeds to basically support our way of life in a healthy manner, to not only just to keep us looking good, but also to keep us on this earth as long as we can without chronic diseases. And that all lumps into that.
I think part of it is grains tend to be more refined, right?
Oh, yeah,
Originally, they were just easier to store, and they were a better source of energy when you had less other, items
It's cheap
available, less
energy.
variety. It is cheap energy. You didn't have as much of everything else available.
Yeah.
And we've gone leagues beyond that in terms of what we add to those grains, right? So we talk about simple carbohydrates. We've got these grains and we've got breads, we've got crackers, we've got cereals, all of these things full of sugar, full of chemicals to both keep
Mm.
them good for longer,
Yeah.
but also make them palatable with all the other things that we're doing
Oh,
to
that's
them.
that's
So
another whole nother that's a whole nother talk there, because the reason why they palatable, because they want our brains to kick that
dopamine.
and so we feel good while we eat it.
it's like an
They're
addictive
it
strategy,
is.
right?
They definitely do studies on this, and that's one of the major things that food companies put a lot of money into, is the studies of how our bodies react to a positive manner from eating this garbage food.
And we've been trained to want these things, to
Yeah.
actually yearn and desire these foods. And we've created a sort of addiction to these complex processed foods that are in actuality causing a lot more health problems than they're solving. However, a lot of folks will look at this and, be in complete stressful regret crisis. I've been eating wrong my whole life and I'm a horrible person and it's never going to change, or this is how I got here. And what I like to tell everyone is, first, take a breath,
Yeah.
because food has first and foremost always been about survival,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
And so when we originally, as hunter gatherers, are evolving into more complex societies, turned to grains in order to survive, it's because we needed the energy. We had those bigger populations. So
Yeah.
if we take that and bring that forward to today, if we didn't know better up until today because the government didn't tell us, because we didn't have the education in school, because we haven't been meeting with health experts, you've never walked into a CrossFit gym, everything you've done, and I've said this before, especially on this podcast, up until today, you've done in order to survive. Now we're just looking for a way to survive in a manner that is more conducive to keeping us living healthier, longer lives and meeting our goals. Part of this is we live in New Orleans, right?
Mm.
And
Yeah.
we live to eat here. And I think that that becomes part of the issue, in that originally and more preferably, we should be eating in order to live, right? Instead of
Yeah.
living
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
find these
That's
better
a
foods, we should be eating so that we can live better.
that's a culture that is we could butt up against really hard and try to push back on. But the culture in New Orleans is so engraved with how we eat, the rest between the restaurants and the great food that we have and all the seasons that we have to celebrate the different types of food, from fried chicken festival to king cake festival to this festival to all the food festivals. The culture that we have in New Orleans is so hard to battle against, because of that. And I think that's what makes us great in New Orleans, is that we have this culture. But how do you go about your life throughout while living here, and having this food dictate yourself, and that's a hard one.
I think let's choose our verbiage differently. So you said, how do we battle this culture? I don't think that you do. First off, culture in and of itself is an important thing in our lives. Family history, how we relate to each other socially, our important social and holiday events. It's not a matter of battling the culture so much as it's introducing new ideas into the culture, finding ways to still enjoy meals and to enjoy Mardi Gras, but instead of king cake being 3 meals a day for Mardi Gras plus those 2 snacks, right? I've said this before as well. We are going to front load that day. We're going to get up in the morning before
Yeah.
going out and staking our claim to the land where we want to be for the parade. We're going to get up. We're going to have some eggs in the morning along with some vegetables.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to have maybe our coffee with some grass fed milk, or my preference is almond milk. Well, let's start looking at ways to front load that day. So we've eaten our protein, we've eaten some vegetables. First of all, it's only legal to eat king cake
But
between January 6th and this year, February 17th.
well, hold
So,
on, because there's 5 to 6 to 7 parades a week. So
correct.
if you're going to hit all those up, that's
I know. And so,
really
like, your
ooh.
friend, maybe Lance, brings Popeye's fried chicken, right? And so now we're looking at an ultra processed source of protein, but yet it's protein. How do we handle that? Well, let's talk about this. We might think about bringing an alternate source of
A
protein.
vegan key cake,
No,
vegan king cake.
that's just
No.
wrong. Let's not go to the dark side, folks.
The dark side.
But let's talk about, we have the Popeyes fried chicken available. So maybe we're bringing out something else. Maybe we've got some rotisserie chicken that we're going to bring and have as an option for folks. And we can have a little rotisserie and a little Popeyes. Maybe we've got, some more fruit on the table that we can enjoy alongside the king cake. Instead of completely flipping culture and habits on their head and making people's lives
we need to make a
miserable.
pyramid for culture foods.
We can right, exactly. We're gonna
Flip it
come up with
upside
our
down.
own.
Make
We'll
sure you
have our
flip.
New
Make sure you
Orleans
have it
pyramid.
the
It
right.
has to be the shape of the pizza because honestly, I'm really enjoying the inverted pyramid. Okay, shape of a pizza. It's really got me staring at it, thinking about it all day long. But giving yourself options so that we're not only partaking into this historical, cultural, habitual food during
Yeah,
certain periods. So give yourself options, front load your day.
yeah,
Okay. So you might even just have a pocket smoothie that you've got in your cooler along with all the other festive drinks. Maybe you've got a protein drink in there so
yeah.
that
Oh,
throughout the
that's
day,
a great one there.
right, you throw back some protein
Yeah,
while you're still enjoying the festivities, while you're still eating a lot of the food. You've got a lot of homemade food coming to these large tables underneath these tents. Please don't put your tent really close to the curb, folks, or your ladders. All of us short people really want to enjoy the parade as well.
Short people got no reason.
Anyway,
well, what about
but give yourself options.
the people that have all the different type of diets that they walk in, right? You could be a keto person,
Zone person,
zone person. You have all your paleo, your carnivore,
Whole 30,
right? Whole
Hard
30.
75.
Yeah, so you have all these different fitness fads. Oh, sorry, not fitness, but health fads that come and go, right? And I think a big thing that I want to talk about is we've been through them in the CrossFit gyms. We've
Oh,
gone through every single one of them. We're talking 15 to 20 years ago. We've gone through every fad, and we've actually, every CrossFit gym, every person has gone through a different health fitness, or sorry, I keep saying fitness fad, but health fad to kind of, and where we're experimenting on ourselves.
exactly. As a 49-year-old female, I have tried every single diet fad out there. I've tried every fitness fad out there because, especially as a female growing up, there's a lot of pressure on us to look and act a certain way at all times. So that pressure lends to us trying more and more different options. And again, it's all experimenting. And I think what we're finding now, instead of going for that diet, these strict diets where you're unable to partake in these cultural activities in these cultural meals, or where you partake in them and now you suddenly failed the
Yeah,
great
the failure,
keto diet,
the
right? Which
failure.
increases your stress levels and actually just sets you back more and more. Instead of jumping on these extreme options, we're looking at finding, we do this in our gym, CrossFit prescribes this. We're looking at finding a nutrition plan that is sustainable for you over a lifetime so that you
Yeah,
can, during certain periods, whether it's Mardi Gras, Christmas, your birthday,
yeah,
crawfish season, you can enjoy these cultural foods, these traditional foods, and not be completely thrown off track. And that comes down to what's at the base of your pyramid. And so,
yeah, yeah,
absolutely,
yeah.
protein and vegetables.
Yeah.
Now,
Well,
folks,
that
that
the base is now the top.
the
Remember,
base is now the top. So when we say
it's the
base,
crust. It's the
the
crust of the
large
pizza,
part, the crust of the pizza, the foundation
which
of
is
your
completely
pizza,
opposite. It's made out of meat.
the foundation of your nutrition pizza should be your protein and vegetables. The very last bite, but I would argue
We're gonna eat
should
the pizza.
actually be the first
Yeah.
bite,
How do you eat your
should be
pizza?
your crust. Well, you usually eat it, from the small end to the large end, but now we're going to eat the crust first.
Well,
Okay.
and you know what's great? So talking about all this, right? Whatever fad diet that you happen to be on, even if it's not, let's take the word fad out, because obviously every person reacts differently to different types of foods and how they structure their food around them, their way of life. But ultimately, if you look at every single diet that we've ever tried, ever experimented with, they all go back to that first sentence of the CrossFit nutrition.
Right.
All of them. Doesn't matter which
Eat
one you pick.
eat meats and vegetables. So that's not a fad,
No.
right? Meats and vegetables. And we talked a little bit earlier about ancient hunter-gatherers, how we ate in the very beginning, they wanted the meat. They went out, risked their lives on a daily basis whenever that big game was available. They risked their lives to bring it down to eat it because that protein is all important to get in,
Yeah.
right? And so every whether it's a fad, whether you call it a diet, and now let's talk what's better, a nutrition plan. The protein is hugely important. There's different ways we can get that protein in. Okay, I know a lot of folks prefer a vegetarian or a vegan diet. There, talk to your nutrition coach at your CrossFit gym. There are ways to make an amount of protein that is suitable for your physiology and for the goals you're trying to attain. There's a way to get that in for you. There absolutely
Yeah.
is. And that is, in my mind, protein is the most important thing you eat. Should it be the only thing you eat? Absolutely
No,
not. Okay.
no.
You're missing so many nutrients.
Well, it'll satiate you so much faster than
It will.
yeah.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
protein will keep you fuller longer. Protein is necessary for a multitude of bodily functions, not just building that muscle. But you also have to think about, I want to get that protein in, but I have to have room for my veggies. Okay. Veggies are important. Fruits are important. Nuts or seeds are important, right? Those healthier fats. So we need to stop looking at nutrition in the form of extremes. And that's the problem I have with things like keto, with your hard 75, with your strictly paleo. Okay. Paleo, I think the idea there was well intentioned.
Yeah.
You know, the Paleolithic diet, we're going to eat like they did in the Paleolithic era. But folks, this is not the Paleolithic
Yeah.
era.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We're not actually hunting our food.
We're
For, you know,
not.
I mean, there are exceptions. We live in Louisiana, sportsman's paradise. There's definitely,
You can run around and hunt some
I know
nutria all
so
day
many
long.
people
I mean,
that hunt and gather their own meat, and which is super healthy and super the best way to do it. But we're not on a not.
I'm not doing that. If you're hunting some deer every week,
I'll bring you
why
some.
are you not? Yeah, like share.
We
There-
have look, Lance next year. He's going to bring us some
put me
deer.
on the list of people.
I'll
to
take the
bring food
heart,
to.
the liver. Give me
But
that.
folks, if you're me, the only hunting I do for food is what's the best deal at Costco this week,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
I have neither the time, the capability, or the environment to go hunting for my own food.
Sure.
Okay, I'm one of the reasons that things like the high calorie grains were created
Well,
because I'm a consumer that doesn't produce food. It's
And
my fault.
I like what you said about not being so strict with different types of, you know, what your diet would not. Because if you look at the new food pyramid, it doesn't have clear definitions of where the meat, where the vegetables are, where the fats, the proteins, the tubers, all the different elements of the food pyramid. Whereas in the old one was specifically had lines drawn, where in this new one, the food's all over the place. You kind of have to really get in there and kind of look, okay, where at the top of the upside down pyramid, where is bananas? Oh, it's there. Okay, where is the nuts? See, okay, there they are. And you kind of have to, and I like it because I like it in a way because it does not strict us down to just lines. And this is the line in the dirt.
You have to
You can't cross this
customize.
line.
Right. You have to customize nutrition to every single individual,
Yeah.
whether it's how they were born, what their biology is like, what their physiology is like, whether it's their current situation, it's your working situation, your social situation, how are you living, whether it's your economic situation, okay?
Yeah.
And what your basic likes and dislikes. If you absolutely hate fish, I can't force you
Well-
to eat fish. A much better way to handle getting people to eat things that are more conducive to their health is more education out there, more availability of the things that are conducive to their health, whether it's grocery stores that offer these different foods, okay, in every area that
Yeah.
we can put them, whether it's making these foods more accessible in terms of pricing, in terms of region.
Maybe just have labels on the food.
Right.
You know, like a scale of like a 1 through 5 or whatever of health scale.
And
or
there are
something.
some grocery stores
know?
that do that. They do it in terms of how much processing has been done to this item, right?
Yeah.
There is a grocery store who shall remain unnamed because I don't want to
But-
don't want to promote
But-
any
but-
specific.
But would that keep somebody
store.
from buying a bag of Cheetos?
I think that if somebody really wants those Cheetos, they're going to buy those Cheetos. Folks, I used to love Cheetos. I ate a lot of Cheetos And then I found out
It was,
one
it
of the
was
reasons I
Oreos for
love
me.
Cheetos is because it had red 40 in it, which is a dye. It's an additive that actually has addictive properties to it. And so that's one of the reasons, whether it was the Doritos or the Cheetos, you open up that
Well,
bag and you're going to have a few, and suddenly
well,
you've inhaled the bag.
let's get back to it. Is that we, they're doing a better job of regulating those items inside the food that we're eating. You go to Europe, the Cheetos there are way different than the Cheetos here.
There's
I think they can do better than what they're doing now by doing regulations on these types of food. But ultimately, I think going back to what you said, education is huge. I mean, when you walk into a CrossFit gym, we're going to educate you on the foods to eat. We're going to tell you, we'll put you on the new Hume scale, and let's see where you're at on
right.
your metabolic age and your body weight mass and your lean muscle mass and your skeletal mass and all these different things that you can do by walking inside of a CrossFit gym. It just unfortunately that 99% of the population just doesn't care about their health a whole lot. They just want to eat what they want to eat, and
I
you
really
know.
disagree with you. I don't think 99% doesn't care. I think 99% is a large group of people that at the moment don't have the necessary information. They don't have the necessary resources. Okay. It's not that people don't care, it's that they aren't necessarily in a situation for any number of reasons to make those better choices. And that's the job of people like ourselves, is to get this information out there. Okay. To talk to people about how changing these habits, even if you start very slowly, one step at a time, can get you not only healthier, but get you closer to some goal that you might have set that before you thought was lofty. Instead of, looking at it
Well,
as people don't care, it's people don't currently have what they need to either make a better choice or to have access to that better choice. And that's what we need to change. We need people to have more information, more resources. There need to be more accessibility. And in the end, the only way to make a big change is for the majority of the people to ask for that change. So again,
well,
forcing people to make certain choices generally doesn't work.
well. So let's kick this off by saying, why do we have the food pyramid the way we do now, the new one? And you got to kind of push back a little bit. This food pyramid is the exact same food pyramid that South Park did an episode on.
Sir, the pyramid is upside down.
Turn the pyramid upside down. Sir, we've got a match. Nutrition is stabilizing.
Right? So until that episode was done, nobody cared. Nobody even thought about it. And then when this episode was done, people were like, "Oh, is South Park right? Are they right?" And then the USDA puts out this new food pyramid that's exactly almost the same as the South Park.
So what you're saying is that we need to just turn to South Park for all of our needs.
I mean, I'm not gonna look. You need education here. Watch South Park.
Mertz's main education about most things comes from social commentary cartoons. And we know where his recommendations for your education lie. I would rather you come into a CrossFit gym, talk to those of us who have actually read some papers.
Look, it just wildly odd that they released that episode, then within a year later, the USDA releases the same damn food pyramid. They could have had it the upside down
So
version.
if I want something, I need to call
the
South Park and get them to do an episode.
They could have had the pyramid the same, just change the bottom from grains to meat and foods, but they purposely put it like the pizza, just like South Park. Just saying. South Park may have a hand in this.
All right, folks. So your ultimate conspiracy theories to everyone to go out and research is, how much is South Park deciding our future? Folks, we got to wrap this up. We will dive further into this in another podcast. Thank you for tuning in today. Please like, share, and follow. I'm Coach Tanya.
And I'm Coach Mertz.
And this has been the Affiliate Soapbox. Cheers.
They killed Kenny.
They did kill Kenny. That's the one thing we can agree on.
Yeah, they killed Kenny. Kenny did live
them.
one time. Maybe he ate off the new food pyramid and lived a long, healthy life.
I guess so.